What's going on, Guardians? Your boy Sly here, and with the eyes of the world focused on E3, Bungie did a nice little dance and out of nowhere threw a curveball that is going to hit a lot of us right in the stomach. Yesterday, while Xbox and PlayStation conferences were being held, patch notes started to show up. Now, we were told of an update coming sometime in June, but not when or what it would entail. Well, the cat's out of the bag, and that cat is nerfed into a ball of fur. Bungie.net has the entire list of changes, and you can go check them out for yourself. The link is in the box below. Definitely check it out. So they started with some minor tweaking of weapons, which I pretty much think most of us saw coming, and then creeping in the background were these huge changes to everything. I mean, blink, melees, talents, armor, agility, super, subclass, everything, guys. Pow! Take it. There it is. Okay, now maybe I'm sounding a little overdramatic here because there are some very nice and very welcome changes, but some of these are totally out of left field and a few of them are really unnecessary. Either way, expect these to drop with a patch deployment tomorrow morning, which is Wednesday the 15th. Expect the usual Bungie time of 10 a.m. Pacific, if I had to guess. Anyways, let's get to the small changes first, and those are the weapons. Now, everyone has seen the bullet hose nerf sizzling on the back burner for quite some time. It was definitely needed, and if you had a God Roll Doctrine or Soul Stealer, then it just absolutely melted. So, Arminius D, Doctrine of Passing, and the Soul Stealer are going to be nerfed by 6%. The other changes that were minor had to do with the Hawkmoon and hand cannons in general. Hawkmoon stability was hit pretty hard with a -5 stability nerf, and even though it might not sound like much, when someone has extra +3 armor, it is a big buff. Now, I know it's totally unrelated, but the degree of change is pretty similar. Hand cannons had increase in accuracy and steeper damage fall off to keep them in line with their intended range. They also have a PvE buff for AI enemies, but it's not by much and no numbers were given. Next up, my favorite weapon perk, and that is Counterbalance. Surprise! It is also getting a nerf. They're actually nerfing the effectiveness by lowering the recoil pattern of a weapon. They're dropping it from 90% to 80%. Again, not very much, but depending on the weapon, it can be a very big change. Finally, Thunderlord and Super Good Advice had a bug within them, and they are now a little more stable. Alright, Guardians, now's the time. Let's get into this subclass madness. It's probably best if I just go right down the list, so sit back, grab yourself some popcorn, and let the salt flow. Anyway, guys, so let's turn to the Hunter first. Alright. We're going to go to grenade changes. Swarm Grenade increased arming radius by 0.5 meters and detonation damage by 7%. Which was totally needed. Everyone knows the swarm grenades aren't that powerful. Now, trip mines are up next, and they can no longer attach to enemies. Instead, they arm once they hit someone and then explode off the bounce, and damage is also reduced by 3%. Next up, Golden Gun. These are all good changes here because it was very, very weak in PvE. With these numbers in mind, think about the Celestial Nighthawk. Alright, so changes. Base damage increase by 50%. An additional 30% against AI combatants. That is 80% damage increase in PvE. Deadeye now increases the damage by an additional 30%. Guys, this is absolutely insane. I cannot wait to try this out on a Solar Burn Nightfall with the Celestial Nighthawk. Dude, one-shotting enemies confirmed. So moving on down the list, we have Throwing Knives up next. So damage reduction by 10% and Circle of Life now cooldowns Golden Gun instead of extending it. And the 1+ armor you used to get from Circle of Life is now removed. Those were all the major changes to that subclass. Now let's go over Blade Dancer. Now the target here is pure mobility and the agility of the Blade Dancer, which is what I thought the intent was. Why else would you have so little armor, right? Anyways, Blink is at the heart of this and again is being changed. You now recover health a little bit slower by having a recovery penalty for every use, and Blink Strike lunging distance is nerfed by 0.4 meters in game. Escape Artist invisibility effect delayed by half a second, and Fast Twitch now takes longer to recharge. They reduced the speed of recharge by 20%, and the Backstab perk now has a smaller cone of effectiveness, so you have to pretty much hit the back dead on for it to apply that extra damage. Alright, Arcblade is up next, and it is increased by 2 seconds in duration, but also the hit search range, which is basically the auto target, is increased by 0.5 meters. However, they added almost a full second in between swings while you're airborne. So you can only swing Arc Blade one time every 0.8 of a second. Like I said, pretty much 1 second, and that is while you are in the air. Now they made it this way so people who blade dance, they can't just dance across large distances. They also want it to be more precise and not a spamming until you hit something type of super. So for every swing that doesn't connect, you will lose 20% more energy. And for every hit that you connect, you will keep 30% more than you used to. Basically, it turns out if you spam it until you hit, it's gone super fast. Use it skillfully and it's going to stay for a very long time. Now let's get to the good part. PvE Blade Dancers will see a huge increase in damage for Arc Blade. 30% damage increase, and when used with Encore, which is a perk that normally extends duration, it will now cause 150% more damage if kills are chained, which means back to back. That is a huge buff, guys. 30% more damage, period. Then if you chain kills with Encore, you're adding 150% on top of that 30. That is a huge amount of damage increase and a very welcome change. Next, the Showstopper move, Extended Damage Range, out by 1 meter, and Vanish will now cause you to go invisible immediately after casting your super. You don't have to trigger the effect. All around good changes to these PvE encounters. Next, let's give the Night Stalker a checkup. First up, the Void Spike Grenade. It sucks. I hate it. Well, don't worry, it's getting a makeover. The Spike Grenade used to pulse 5 times every second, doing damage with every pulse. Well, the change is now it will pulse 10 times every second, and damage from those 10 pulses is increased by 100%. That is also another huge buff, guys. Hopefully this will make it a little more useful. Now we're going to get into Shadow Shot, and that was pretty much left alone, except now as soon as it's shot, it will suppress enemies on impact. This will delay that late panic trade-off. And now we're going to go on to Smoke Grenade. This is a little confusing, so bear with me here. So with Smoke Grenades, they're not trying to let it be so restrictive that you can't escape it, and they're also trying to open up the opportunity for escaping. However, it is getting an overall buff in damage by 34% damage over time, which is the burning, but it decreased by 1 second. Also, jump suppression was removed from initial impact status effect, but the duration is increased by 1 second for base smoke, envenomed, and snare cloud. They also removed +1 agility from the Vanish and Smoke Grenade. Finally, let's talk about some of these perks. Courage of the Pack now stacks armor, recovery, and agility by +2 per stack, and it can stack up to 3 times. That is going to be +6 armor, +6 agility, and +6 recovery all at once. That is a huge buff for your team, guys, and I'm excited to see how big of a change this means for your team as a whole. Next up, let's talk about Lockdown. Lockdown will now increase the smoke bomb duration by 2 extra seconds. However, if you use Snare and Lockdown together, that will be an additional 2 seconds on top of 2 seconds. So 4 seconds total of added time, 2 apiece. The final one is Shade Step, and it's a big one. You can no longer Shade Step back to back. There is now a 3-second cooldown time between each step. This is part of that mobility nerf. Now, this isn't all about the hunters, but a lot of things were changed on them. However, a lot of these things will carry over to other subclasses. Shade Step and Twilight Garrison pretty much share the same cooldown effect now, and you can only juke once every 3 seconds. Titans also share the Void Spike Grenade buff. So those are some examples. But while we're on Titans, let's get to their supers first. We're going to talk about the Hammer of Soul right now, and that nerf was pretty hardcore back in the day. Well, not to worry, it's being increased in PvE by 10% damage buff. Also, its hammers, the travel speed is being sped back up by 1.3% and a larger impact radius of 10%. Here's a good one, guys. Fist of Havoc, it's getting a 50% damage increased all around and another 50% on top of that to AI enemies, which is amazing. Speaking of amazing, Voidwalkers will also share this damage increase, and Nova Bomb will also be upped by the same amount as Fist of Havoc on both sides. 50% total, an extra 50% for AIs. Finally, an unseen change that I never saw coming. Storm Trance is getting buffed by 10%. But don't worry, it's only in PvE. These are all welcome changes, guys, and I cannot wait to try these supers out on bosses. These are going to wreck shop. I am definitely pleased on that front. But alright, well, now let's get to the hot topic, and those are Sun Singers, more specifically Firebolt Grenades. Now they are getting a nerf, but not quite in the way you think. They'll still do the same amount of damage. However, Viking Funeral no longer extends the damage over time. However, what it does do is weaken the afflicted target, causing you to take 5% more damage, and it can stack up to 3 times. So, Sunslinger's supers, basically chucking grenades left and right, there will be a lot more deadly. But they are decreasing the range of firebolts by 1 meter and increasing the arming time an extra 0.2 seconds. This will allow for more reaction time for you to try to hide. Now this should weaken the blow, and I think it's a pretty big nerf at first glance, but it's a welcome solution and a nice trade-off. The last thing is the dreaded flame shield. They are adding a 0.3 second delay so that the person who has a sliver of health left won't be saved by an instant flame shield. Also a very welcome change. But that's pretty much it, Guardians. A lot of changes, some unnecessary, but a lot of them are for the better. However, I didn't really like the methods of throwing all this out there during E3, and more so, not really announcing its arrival like they usually do. Either way, it hits Wednesday, which is tomorrow the 15th. Let's see what happens. Alright, well, that's the end, y'all. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys think about these changes. Good, bad, too much, too little? Let me know in the comments below, because I'm curious on everyone's stance on some of these. Alright guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching, and thank you so much for giving the smaller YouTuber a chance to stand out. If you want to stay up to date on everything Sly Nation, follow me on Twitter at Sly Nation and be alerted to all things Destiny, as well as new uploads from my channel. Until next time, guys, this is your boy Sly. Done, gone, out.
Ammo inbound. Zone B secure.